Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Some people just don't understand trivial things. Well, our OP has taught them a lesson by his actions. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Homeless person asks for coffee, then tries to trick me to buy everything he can carry. This happened a few years ago, but something reminded me of the story, so I thought I'd share. Off we go. One morning, I had to travel by train, and at the entrance of the train station stood a guy in dirty clothes with holes in them, not wearing shoes, so I assume it was a homeless person. When I approached the entrance, the guy asked me if I could buy him a cup of coffee at the little store in the train station. I had some time to spare before I had to go to my train, so I said sure, and as I walked in the store, he followed me inside. I wanted to go stand in line to pay for his coffee, but the guy walked to some shelves and started getting all kinds of bags of potato chips. Then he walked to me and pushed them in my hands. I told him I'm not buying him all that, and that he could choose one of the bags and that'd be that. He chose one bag, but didn't put any of the other ones back, so I walked out of line to the shelf and put the other bags away. I turned around and I saw him at another shelf, and he started to grab a lot of other snacks, drinks, and stuff. Like his arms were completely full of stuff, he could barely hold on to all of it. I walked towards him to tell him again I wouldn't be buying him any of that, but he tried to push the stuff in my hands. I took a step back so he couldn't push anything in my hands again. I told him in a clearly annoyed voice that because of how he acted, he wouldn't get anything else besides the coffee I promised him, and I put the bag of potato chips he chose away as well. Then I went to go stand in line again. He gave me a foul look and went outside of the store. I bought the coffee, and when I gave it to him, he didn't even look at me. He was clearly PO'd. I just walked away. The whole situation made me uncomfortable. It wouldn't surprise me if he threw the coffee away when I was gone. I think he tries to trick people into buying him lots of stuff because not everyone has the courage to say no when they're put on the spot like that. Still nice of you to buy the coffee, though. Don't bother next time. Too much hassle than it's worth from the looks of it. And our second story. Rude customer loses his job in the end. This was a couple of years ago, so the conversation might not be exact, but I can remember exactly what happened. Sorry for the long post, but this has been sitting in my back pocket ever since it happened, and I just want to rant along with telling my story. I worked in a popular fast food restaurant. I'd worked in the food industry since I left school, so I was pretty good at my job. I always put a smile on my face and tried to make the customers as happy as I possibly could, even if I wasn't in the best mindset. Also, I should mention that the restaurant was literally opposite of a football stadium, so it could get very busy during match days with a line going beyond the restaurant doors. We had a few regular customers who would usually order the same meal every time they came in. Majority of them were super polite, and we'd have a casual chat while the food was being prepared. Apart from one particular customer. This particular customer always made a scene about how he was a taxi driver and didn't have time to wait in the line. He also wanted his food then and there. Overall, super rude and entitled. What made it worse was the managers always complied with his demands, letting him skip the line and making his order before he'd even paid. This always irked me, but I could never say anything. Cut to the day in question. There was a huge match in the stadium with easily over 10,000 fans coming to watch. It was going to be busy. The managers had made sure we had extra hands in store to handle the incoming stampede of customers, so the match finishes and just as expected, the line is long. I'm talking out the door and down the street. We handled the horde of hungry fans as quick as we could, with the customers waiting about 20 minutes for their orders. Not too bad. The extra sets of hands at this point have now gone home, and I'm left serving the last few customers, when I see the rude driver trying to push his way through the doors of customers leaving. That itself was quite funny to watch. He finally makes it through the doors and barges through the line to the front. I know what's coming, and so it begins. He starts complaining about how he had to wait over 30 minutes just to get into the store, how this is unacceptable for a regular customer, especially such a busy one as himself. I apologized to him for the wait, but explained that it's match day and there's not much I can do about the line. He then decides to go on about how I'm slow and I can't do my job properly. At this point, I was tired and just wanted to go home. Still, I put a smile on and in my best customer service voice asked what he'd like to order. This seemed to be the final straw for him as he stated in a very loud voice that I should know his order by now. which was a set box consisting of one piece of chicken and extra large fries, and that I was just being petty. I thought to myself, I'll show you petty. I apologized and put his order through. He proceeds to throw the money at me and storm off to the collection area. No problem. I finish up his payment and go round the back to make his order. He always complains how there's never enough fries in his box, so I make sure to put extra in the box. Again, I just want to go home now. The quicker I serve him, the better. So I finish preparing his box and go to give him his order. He stands there holding a finger up at me, telling me to wait while he checks the food. What a surprise, he says. He wants more fries while throwing a tantrum I'd expect from a 3-year-old. I explained to him that I'd already put extra fries in the box, but no, he wanted more. I tried to explain that with the set box you get one side of extra large fries, basically one large and one small combined. He then proceeds to say that there's no way those were extra large fries and demands a new fresh box and to speak to the manager. I'm done now. As previously mentioned, I'd already had multiple encounters with this man. I was done with him and his rude ways. I apologize, go round the back, and explain the situation to one of the really nice managers. The customer had previously been very rude and racist towards the manager, so without a second breath, he said he'd deal with it, but I had a plan. I asked him to just come up front and stand witness for me in case anything would go wrong. Here's my chance. I grab the piece of chicken, one large and one small bag of extra fresh fries, and walk around the front. My manager's looking at me like I'm going insane, but just lets me continue purely for the interest in seeing what I was about to do. I ask my manager what an extra large fries consists of. One large and one small, he replies. Brilliant, just as I'd been saying all along. I then proceed to grab the box with his chicken and dump the correct amount of fries into the box, which was considerably smaller than the previous box. He looks at me dumbfounded and shouts in my face that I should listen to him and that the customer is always right. He makes a grab for the previous box I'd made, but with a smile I say, yes, you're most certainly right. Here's your box of chicken with your extra large fries, and then proceed to chuck his previous box straight into the bin. He was furious, claiming I was terrible at my job, along with a flurry of other insults, and that I should be fired, all while my manager was standing there trying to hold back his laughter. I simply said that I had given him exactly what he wanted and I couldn't see the problem. Other customers who were waiting had seen the whole ordeal and were now laughing at how pathetic he looked. Many told him to get lost and leave me alone. He was now looking like a fool in front of the whole store. Safe to say he took his box and left rather angry. I was told I could go home now, finally, and slept peacefully knowing that I'd finally stuck it to the rude taxi driver, even if it was really petty. Oh, also he never came back to the restaurant again, bonus. He got multiple calls to the taxi company complaining about how rude and disrespectful he was to others, and he was promptly dismissed from the company. I'm guessing he had previous complaints about him, and they too were just done with him. I wonder what's wrong with some of these rude people who are in customer service jobs. Do they truly think their boss isn't going to notice the complaints? And our next story. This is my apartment. So basically, I live in a small apartment above a bar that has a really good kitchen. Over time, I've become friends with the owners who are really great people. This past weekend, there was a lot of noise coming from the bar at about midnight, so I came down to complain, and they said they couldn't do much about the noise. It was a crowd watching a game, but if I came in at some point during the week, they'd give me a free dinner as an apology. That brings us to yesterday. I'd gotten off work late and didn't feel like cooking, so decided to cash in that aforementioned free dinner. As I'm eating, things start to get really loud and busy again, so I ask for my meal to be put in a to-go container. The owner said I could just take the plate upstairs as long as I return it later that night or the next day. As I'm leaving, still shoveling fries into my mouth, I notice a woman trying to flag me down from her table. I assumed she was looking at a server behind me, so I took no notice and walked outside carrying my dinner. I put down the plate to open my door, and while I'm rooting through my pocket, I feel a sharp tap on my shoulder. L is lady, M is me. L: don't just ignore me like that. I ordered almost 40 minutes ago and I've got no food. This is unacceptable. This can't be true, considering even when it's packed, I've never waited longer than 30 minutes. Me: okay? Not really quite sure what she wants. L: what do you mean, okay? What are you going to do about it? I want my meal discounted for this. Me: now realizing what's happened. "Oh, I don't work there. You need to speak to someone who does about doing that." I turned and opened my door. Lady, "Don't lie to me." She looked past me and up the stairs. "I know you guys are just hiding up there instead of working. I'd like to speak to the owner." Me, "Lady, this is my apartment. Please leave me alone. I was holding the door open while I bent over to pick up my meal." L, pushing past me, charging up the stairs, screaming as she goes, "You guys better get back to work. There are people waiting to be served down here." WTF. At this point, she's reached the top of the stairs and is now looking around my room, realizing the only person she was yelling to was my fish, who I'm sure wasn't in any mood to serve her anything after that. Me, "See? Get the F out of my apartment." I was angry, tired, and fantasizing about the burger on the plate in my hand. L, "Well, it doesn't change the fact that I've been waiting ages for my food, and that's unacceptable. Clearly," looking at my plate, "you know the owners, so I think you should still talk to them for me." Me, "WTF? Get out!" I'm out of patience at this point and begin to walk towards her and try to usher her back down the stairs. L, "Don't touch me. If you don't care, I'll find someone who does." She ran back down the stairs, slammed the door on the way out, however, not before kicking a pair of my shoes into the street, which I had to go down and collect. I saw the owner today, and I gave him back the plate, and he said the lady came back down and caused a scene in the bar, and eventually the bouncer had to remove her. I couldn't believe she still tried to act like she was right, even after she realized she was standing in my apartment, not a restaurant. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.